Joe here. Hello class. Today we'll be talking about random crits, or random critical hits. What are they? How do they work? Why do they exist? Why do we exist? Why is it that the nagging emptiness I feel inside isn't satisfied by my latest unusual hat? First off, we should go over critical hits themselves. Simply put, crits are attacks that do more damage than a normal attack. This affects rockets, grenades, bullets, flame, and fish. There are also mini-crits, which are just critical hits that aren't as powerful. We won't be talking about mini-crits in today's lesson since they are never random. The amount of damage that a critical hit deals varies between weapons, but it's always essentially 3 times the base damage of the weapon or projectile. Critical hits, or shots, can be easily identified because they glow, or have a trail, and make a different noise than normal. Let's take a look at the stock rocket launcher for reference. Base damage is 90, and can vary between 45 and 112 damage, depending on distance traveled. It also deals splash damage to anything close by that's not directly hit by the rocket. A critical hit with the rocket launcher deals 270 damage, which is 3 times as much as the base damage and over twice as much as the maximum damage of a non-crit rocket. Critical hits can be dealt in 2 ways, either situationally, i.e. caused by a weapon ability, humiliation, first blood in arena mode, or randomly. Ta-da! We've finally reached the topic. So random crits are just crits that are random rather than situational. But what does random mean exactly? Is it truly random? Or at least as random as computers can be? No. No, it is not. The base chance for critical hits on non-melee weapons is 2%. For single-shot weapons, this means that every shot has a 2% chance of being a critical shot. Rapid-fire weapons are calculated differently, which I'll explain in a bit. This isn't it though, and here is where the random descriptions get a bit more gray. The 2% isn't static, and has a bonus percentage added to it based on the amount of damage dealt in the past 20 seconds. For non-melee weapons, this bonus ranges from 0% to 10%, with damage dealt from 0 to 800. This means that the maximum possible chance for a random crit rocket is 12%. 12% is 6 times more likely than 2%, while still being 88% less likely than 100%. Numbers! For rapid-fire weapons, the 2% chance isn't calculated for every shot fired, but it's checked every second. So for every second of firing, there is a chance that a crit will happen. When a random crit does happen, everything fired with that weapon for the next 2 seconds is critical. Melee is different. Melee weapons are far more likely to crit than other weapons. In fact, the base crit chance is 15%, which is already higher than the 12% highest possible crit chance of non-melee weapons. Melee weapons also have a higher crit percentage bonus. It's over the past 20 seconds and ranges from 0 to 800 damage done, same as before. However, the percentage range of the bonus is from 0% to 45%, or 50%. There's some debate about these figures. This means that dealing 800 or more damage in the past 20 seconds gives your melee weapon a 60% or 65% chance to crit on hit. In layman's, or make statisticians cringe terms, if you've done 800 or more damage recently, your melee weapon will crit just over half the time. This question is really 2 questions in my mind. Why were they added to TF2 at all? And why are they the way they are today? There's a very telling, although quite dated, interview with Robin Walker, lead designer for TF2, that I will link below. In it, he is asked if the crit system is there to help new players. The answer is that it's really not. It's there for pacing and to introduce luck into the game. He goes on to say that they wanted to increase the number of possible options without making everything feel completely random. They were trying to find a line between everyone only ever playing one tactic and tactics not mattering at all. The interviewer went on to point out that people will blame losses on luck. Robin then says that was actually intentional. The idea is that the hardcore player is given an out. They have something to blame when it happens. Whether or not you agree with Walker's or Valve's view or reasoning for critical hits, you should admit that they do give you something to talk about. Landing a critical hit, or having one landed on you, can bring a lot of joy or frustration. As to how we came to the system that we have now, Valve was fairly clear with the reasoning the last time that critical hits were changed. They wanted to do two things with TF2 as it was then. Number one, they wanted to reduce the overall number of critical hits occurring in the game. Two, they wanted to make critical hits more skill or performance-based. Note that this change was back in early 2009, so we've had a lot of time to get used to the amount of crits we see these days. Because of this, I won't touch on the first objective, but the second is technically true. Random critical hits are still luck, but if you put out a lot of damage, you get luckier. At least statistically, anyway. I hope you found this video helpful in understanding random crits. Class dismissed. Toodles!